What's your story?
Prez, NWC. So, say hi. How'd you get into art? That's probably like 3rd grade, maybe 4th grade, was when I really found my itch, I like to say, you know. Had an uncle, and he was like really big into comic books. He just had this personality about him that was like magnetic. When I tell you this man was like a self-taught superior artist, hand painting, airbrushing, carving, drawing, for a pastime, wasn't making no money off of it, wasn't looking to do anything like that, and it really like gave me a fire, kind of like want to be like him, you know, in a sense. And my older brother was into art too for a couple years. He fell out, but then the 90s, I mean, there was graffiti everywhere, you know. Coming from a rough neighborhood, it was surrounded, you know, every corner you could look at. So I had all these different elements, and then being like the eclectic black sheep of the family, it was just something that fit my soul right, you know. You know, I grew up in Park Hill. I grew up in a private house in Park Hill, surrounded, you know, projects on all 3 angles. It was a dead-end street, no way in, no way out. Behind me was this huge abandoned, you know, access way from Targee Street to Bowen Street. It was where all the bad shit happened, and my fence just divided me from it. Except we were the escape route for everything bad that happened. Everything was smashed. I mean, the old post office used to be a supermarket, and when that went down, it was just destroyed. So no matter which way I looked, coming, going, traveling with my mom, before I was even traveling on my own, my neck was constantly staring at the new names. I always knew when something, you know, arrived and go, that shit must have happened last night. And then, you know, the thought of that adventure would always stem this excitement, and, you know, that's half the excitement that comes with it. So, you know, being the only white kid from the neighborhood, I was like a sore thumb. Being part of the hip-hop culture, I grew up next door to Milk and Giz, Audio 2. Literally, he's like family to me, still to this day, Milk. MC Lite, you know, she was always there. That's basically like their cousin. K-Rock lived 2 houses from me. Wu-Tang, being from the neighborhood. So you had all this, you know, hip-hop culture right on my doorstep. Then you had all this street art culture right on my doorstep. And then I just had this different upbringing than most Staten Islanders, in a sense. A lot of people lived in a bubble around here, or a lot of people were from outside of these places, and they always wanted to get into them without getting their hands dirty. So, you know, I was like rooted there, and, you know, those are things that will always make me who I am. And I was blessed in a sense to experience things like that unfortunately most people don't wanna. And a lot of guys I knew from the neighborhood were looking to get out or looking to better themselves, and I always found it crazy that a lot of people from the outside were looking to get in and deduct themselves to levels of something that most people are striving for. So it was always this like negative, positive. That's what was great about the artwork. You know, I could have a little bit of both at the same time with balance. And you know, I'm a Libra, so like balance is key for me, man. Like everything has to be proportioned right, balanced right, you know, symmetric. Colors have to work perfect. You know, ideas, they can't clash with the design and the background. I've had conversations with people, and I call them conversations because I try not to be this guy that butts heads with anybody if I don't have to. I really try to respect everything around me, including the simple things like, you know, Mother Nature, man. Like, I'm in tune with my feet being on the ground. I don't have a problem butting heads, but I will always respect everything until it gives me a reason not to. So one thing I do find wrong with the art world is a lot of people are chasing this like void they're missing in life, like this ego they need to fulfill. And then there's people who I call like the hardcore artists that really just do what the fuck they want and don't really care what anybody has to say. And you know, I always appreciate reinforcement, negative or positive. You know, it will almost fuel me to continue to try to better my craft. No matter how many years you put into anything, there's always more learning, there's always something new, there's always more creativity. So don't get it twisted though. I always appreciate people who have something bad to say about my work, because that brings the talkative side of me. I'm an antisocial guy, but once you get me talking, so I always like to try to have someone feel what I feel and why I did something, and give them the sole purpose to what it's meant to do, and why I felt the need to have to do it. It starts stemming into different directions that I would have never even thought of. And you know, that's the beautiful thing about art, street art, graph, whatever you want to label things. I don't label it much of anything other than, you know, my passion. You know, I have two sides of it. Yeah, I'm an artist, but at heart I'm a big graph head. I respect and love the destructive part of it more than, you know, the pretty side of it, because I think there's more effort. I think it describes a community that has more personality to me, in a sense. So to me, I'm addicted to creating and painting and drawing and putting thought into making people think. Tariq approached me, and Tariq's, you know, part of my second family. You know, Tariq wants to do this community thing, and I'm like in love with my community, man. Like, I really have grown to love and understand and try to care and nurture for anybody who's willing to work with us or work for what they want help with, not just asking for something and doing the opposite. So he was just putting this thing together that was going to give this positive outlook. So we did it a couple years ago, and it went off well without a hitch. And it was on a small scale, but it was on his property. So this time around, he said, dude, I got this wall for you that is going to be tremendous. And I didn't have the time for this, but I made the time for it. I worked 2 jobs, and I found time in between, whether it was a couple hours every day. And it was 110 degrees out every day I painted this. So, you know, Charlie from the Arts Cypher got involved, where he was like, I'm going to throw up some paint. And, you know, we didn't really go after asking him for that. I just said, I'm going to use, you know, the account and buy some paint. And he's like, no, you know, I'm totally with this, because he's been on the positive outlook for quite some time too, and trying to promote positive community. So he donated the paint. Danny Sharway and Tariq donated and installed the wall, and it was on this real derelict property across the street. So the reason they chose that was it was taking away from their home base, their neighborhood, where their businesses, where they live, and got, you know, permission to put this up. So it's like 100 feet long, you know, 8 feet tall. I don't know, man. It lasted maybe a week. It got no coverage, literally none. People were very scared of talking about it, and that just goes to show the impact of how bad the epidemic is. That when somebody's afraid to talk about something, it's because it's truthful, you know. Some of the things that we were seeing online pop up from it, like people are just one-sided in a sense. And you know, again, I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
The excuse to taking this down was when they come to the bottom of the hill on Castleton, the wall was a blocking force to seeing the street. Buildings department said it was illegally put up, in a sense that even though the property owner gave consent to it, there was no permits and it's considered a fence. So that's where the loophole came into play. So it had to come down. Property owner got fined. Property owner tried to turn it against us. Property owner took it down, tried to take the, you know, the wood and flip it over and make it her blockade to the filthy lot that she just never takes care of. Hunting around, we find another place on Richmond Terrace. Goes back up. Awesome. I tell you, within one day, it has to be taken back down because the owner to the business next door threatened the owner that allowed us to hang this on their property, and the owner was just like, I don't want to have any kind of like quarrels with my neighbors. It was heartbreaking to see it removed once again. The pictures will always live, but the idea was this is for everybody to see, and unfortunately nobody's getting to see it. So it's sitting in a warehouse. The more skills you have in life, the more valuable you are to society or to your friends and family. So, you know, I learned over the years, like, don't be part of any collective anything because it's what seems right to be. Surround yourself by people who are positive and actually have value to offer. You know, I don't change. You know, the only time I ever change is when I have no choice to adapt. And I don't think adapting is ever negative. It's usually just evolution of the changes that happen around you. But as far as my soul, I still feel like I'm the same 12-year-old kid stuck in, you know, like, I look back in time and go, man, that was a long time ago, and it feels just like yesterday. So, you know, again, I don't plan to, 5 years is a short time, if you really think about it, Ed, but, you know, it's, nothing's gonna change, you know, like, I'll be doing this until I'm in a coffin, you know, and again, it's just who I am. It's part of my DNA.